backdrop of the barking dogs.
Of course, there's barking dogs everywhere. Hi, everybody. My name is Kate Titus. Thank you so much for joining us on a Wednesday evening. Appreciate that. This is a very special topic to me. This is one that I've wanted to cover for a very long time. So I'm very thankful that I've met Jennifer and have had the opportunity to work with her and her dog Oso and Maggie over the years. And tonight, Jennifer is going to take us through a lot of the process of grieving and pet loss and how that fits into to your world and what it's like in our society and what you can do to move through that. Jennifer Titley-Rubio, who will be our presenter today. She is the founder of Monsoon Light Counseling Services. And she has worked in multiple settings, so most recently in QSD setting.
Yeah, so lead social worker in QSD, and then I also worked at Casa de los Hospice as a home health social worker, and then doing grieving counseling.
Fantastic. Okay, so thankfully I've let her introduce herself because she did a better job than I could have. But yeah, so we're looking forward to learning more. I know this is going to be a difficult conversation and discussion, but this is a safe space. So feel free to ask the questions that you'd like to ask, express what you feel like you can't express other places perhaps. So we're here to be supportive of each other. Okay, should you speak up?
Oh, okay. So can I start?
Yes, please do.
So my name is Jennifer. I am a griever. In addition to being a grief therapist, I'm also a board member of the Learning Community for Grief, Loss, and Transition, and here's our president, Chris. We also have a representative from Roots and Roads. I forget your title, Julie. The executive director, yes. And I'm also one of Kate's clients. And I unexpectedly became a griever of a dog recently. I didn't expect that to happen, so it was very sudden. And I just want to mention that the Grief, Loss, and Transition, our mission is to create compassionate education, community-centered support for those experiencing loss, grief, and transition, as well as our vision is a world where grief is understood and accepted as a natural response to loss, and where people are well supported as they grieve. Our culture doesn't do a really good job supporting grief, so that's just sort of like the back end of this whole thing. This is my dog Oso. I'm doing this in honor of Oso. He died almost a year ago in October. So I have pictures interspersed honoring Oso. It's part of what I'm doing. So this is kind of what we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk a little bit about disenfranchised grief, which is what they categorize pet loss as. Also what the grief experience is, because you're grieving, whether you're grieving a person or you're grieving an animal or you're grieving a divorce or a move, it's still grief. Also some activities that I found really helpful for me when I was grieving. And so I'm going to suggest to you that it will be like a menu of things you can do. If there's something that fits, resonates with you, pick it up. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. And then just some comfort care for grief, things that you can do to help yourself feel more at peace. So we asked you to bring the name, so that's on the board. If you would like to put, if you came here late, you'd like to put the name of an animal you've lost on the board. And you know what, Kate, I'm going to do something with all these cards afterwards. Maybe not here, but I'll probably do a ritual with everybody's animals that they brought, okay? So I want you to think about, as I'm talking, just take home something, one or two things that you might have with you that you can take home that might fit for you to do, either for as a ritual for your animal or for yourself as you're grieving. And we'll have a little time for some questions. So I'm going to read something by R.M. Drake, and it's a book of his called Dog People, from his book. And I forgot to put it on the references, so I'll have to find it yourself. I know you love your dog, she said, but to say you're completely in love with them, she added, her tone almost dismissive. And that was the difference between her and me. She saw a dog. I saw a soul who'd walked beside me through every joy and heartbreak, who had shared my life in a way no human ever could. She didn't understand the way my dog had pulled me out of dark places, how his mere presence had given me a sense of peace I couldn't find anywhere else. She couldn't grasp the quiet connection we shared, the way he always knew when I needed him, without me having to say a word. To her, it was just a pet. To me, it was family. And that's where we differed. Love wasn't just a word to describe what I felt for him. It was a bond, unshakable and true, something that filled the spaces others left behind. To her, it might have sounded dramatic, but to me, it was simple. I wasn't just in love with my dog, I was loved back in a way that made the world feel a little less broken. And that's like all I need to say, right? We love our animals and our animals love us. And so there's a researcher, Kenneth Doka, who talks about grief, and he talks about grief being a reaction to loss. And it's not just a reaction to death. It's really just a natural reaction to loss, so we can experience it anytime we lose any significant form of attachment. And when you start thinking about disenfranchised grief, according to Kenneth Doka, it's grief that's not openly acknowledged in our culture. It's not socially accepted or publicly mourned. And the relationship isn't recognized. So the loss is not recognized and the griever is not recognized, which makes it really, really difficult when you're grieving an animal, because people will say the stupidest things to you and don't get what it's like to really have a close attachment to an animal, and then you lose it. So I have resources from a website called What's Your Grief? So you'll have a link to it. And they did a really good article about disenfranchised grief. And so what society says about it is that, you're not worthy of grief because it's just a dog. It has to be a human blood person that died, and they don't even disenfranchised grief covers all of it, like divorces and transitions and moves and things like that. So, and the farther out you get from that, the less support you get if it's not a blood loss of a human being. So the death of a pet will fall into this category. It just makes it more difficult when it's a pet loss. So that's what I kind of want to just be aware of, that you kind of have to deal with that. So I want to support your need, your right, your role, your capacity to grieve. Am I talking too fast? Nope. Okay.
I can barely hear you. I don't know if it's me or the hearing aids.
Okay, I'll try to speak up.
Thank you.
Maybe project more.
Thank you.
So I think what's really important. Do you want to move?
I'm going to. Go ahead.
Okay. When we're connected to an animal, it's a unconditional love that you get every time you walk in the door. Your animal, your dog, your cat, even horses are pretty amazing, are amazing to say that. So it's an unconditional love that you get. And if you compare that to people that maybe had a cat, I had a cat 21 years old. It's like you're with that person, that animal, I'm saying person here, you're with that animal until they die, and it's just a very different relationship. And there's research and data to show that our pets have very positive effects on our health. Mm-hmm. So I'm not citing any of that in this presentation, but it's like they can lower your heart rate, they can lower your blood pressure, they help you release endorphins and oxytocins, which are all those blood chemicals that help you feel better. So that goes in with that unconditional love that you lose when that animal is no longer there. The other thing that's important to think about in a pet connection is their story. You lose that story that you had with that animal. Every time I went somewhere with my dog and people asked, I told them the story, how I got him, what it was like. You have those stories, your history with them, the age they were when you got them. If it was a rescue story, what their rescue was. It's like those stories don't go away. You still have them. Is that better?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you need to think about the role that the animal had in your life. My dog had some shepherd, so he was a protector. There was not a school bus that went by that he wasn't going to get for me. And bicycles. I always felt safe, and now I don't have that. It isn't the same. Someone came to my door the other day, and it's like, where's my barking dog? So I didn't have that. You have supporters. If you had health issues or family crises, your dog, your cat saw you through that period of time in your life, right? So there's those losses that kind of stack up in there. You're confident. The time role that they play with you is really important because you're also grieving the time. There's a nice quote by John Galsworthy. He's the person who wrote the Forsyth Saga. I don't know if anyone started that. It's really old. Not the least hard thing to bear when they go from us, these quiet friends, is that they carry away with them so many years of our own lives, right? And then just their presence, their ever-present presence. You know, when you've lost a dog and you walk back into your house and there's like just that like emptiness of space, it's like their ever-present presence is like something that we also will miss. So to keep those connections that we have in mind, as I'm going to talk now a little bit about grief. And this is grief, whether you're grieving a person, a divorce, anything. It's like it affects you in many, many ways. So there are no bad emotions. I want to just start out by saying that. And when you're grieving, you have all of the emotions. And there's not any particular order that you go through. There's not any particular way it happens. And it's the best thing is to allow yourself to have the emotions, feel the feels, and let them go. Emotions don't last very long. What lasts long is the story we tell ourselves about the emotion. And there are no bad emotions. Anger gets a really bad rap. There's nothing wrong with anger. What can be problematic is if you express anger in a way that hurts somebody else, either verbally or physically. So that's just to be aware of that. But it's okay to be angry that you lost your animal. You know, it's fits. So all these emotions, sadness. When right after you have a loss, there's a real tendency to just feel really numb. It's kind of a protective thing that happens because there's so much going on and you can't tolerate all the feels. So like sometimes we just drop into numbness a little bit. Anger, guilt, regrets. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Fear, shame, relief. It's oftentimes confusing when we feel relief after an animal has died. Maybe this is my cat that was paralyzed for a while. I was relieved when she died, and I also felt really guilty when she died, and I felt really sad when she died. I had all of it, you know, and it's just owning it, letting it go, recognizing it, and just being aware that we have all these emotions. And then grief is an everything feeling. I mean, it hits you everywhere in your feelings, in your body, in your mind, in your energy levels. I don't think I said this, like emotionally, physically, spiritually, behaviorally. It is something that will hit you everywhere and can tend to make you feel a little bit crazy. And these are some of the physical reactions you can have. Brain fog. You forget what you're doing, where you're going, what you're supposed to be doing. So there's forgetfulness in there too. I recently had another loss on top of losing my dog, and I stood 2 people up for lunch. I missed 2 appointments at the wrong time. I had everything written down, but I just was not connecting the dots in my brain. It's brain fog, and it's grief. It just affects your whole body. Confusion, forgetfulness, changes in appetite. You may eat a lot. You may not eat as much. You can be affected in many different ways. When my dad died, I became addicted to mint chocolate chip ice cream from Trader Joe's. I think I gained 20 pounds, you know? And so as the best you can do is just be gentle with yourself. You know, if something serves a purpose in giving you some comfort, it's okay. You know, I lost the 20 pounds. It's okay. Increased illness and colds, your immune system gets shot. So don't be surprised if you get sick a little bit more. Muscles, aches, tension. We carry energy in our body, and when we're grieving, we may feel it in all sorts of strange places. You can get sleep disturbances and nightmares. You may not be able to sleep. You may sleep all day. You may wake up in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock, and you can't stop thinking about it. It's like the cortisol just sort of jumps in. And nightmares are really very common to have nightmares after an animal or a person has died. I'm going to talk about a couple things here. The ruminating and obsessing are the if-onlys, what if, and with animals, we have euthanasia, right? And it makes it a little bit more difficult when we're processing a death loss. I've had like 9 cats, and I was counting them today, I put to sleep 4 or 5 of them, and 1 dog in my adult life, not counting when I was a child. And there were different feelings I had for every single one of them because there were different circumstances, you know, and different vets, you know, and I had 2 at home, but the others were in the vet's office and feeling judged, or I was thinking I was being judged, maybe I wasn't being judged, but it's like your brain just can have lots of thoughts and feelings and ideas about what's happening. So ruminating and obsessing is not helpful. And I like to consider it like a rabbit hole, because once you start going down that hole, it's hard to get back up. And you have to really let yourself understand and accept that you made the best choice that you could at the time. And I've offered that phrase. But it's just difficult when you start ruminating and you start obsessing and you start worrying, because it just doesn't help. So I just really call it a rabbit hole. And when you recognize you're doing it, just try to go, oh, this isn't helpful. I'm going to go do something, and get up and do something different, right? Grief bursts are a legitimate thing. They've had people have studied and researched this and gotten their PhDs probably. And this is what happens when you are in the oddest, maybe the oddest place, maybe not an odd place, but you walk in. I'm going to remember being at, Jeannie did a presentation here where we got to paint rocks for our dog, some of us. And I walked in and I saw this hanging on the wall. I might cry. Okay, so I saw this hanging on the wall and I couldn't stop crying. I had to like leave because this was my dog's, right? He had it for a little while, and it was like up there. And that I couldn't control my grief for a little while. I just really I walked out, went to the bathroom, and wiped my face. You know, so that's what a grief burst is, and they can happen in the strangest places, or just where you see something that reminds you of your dog. So a grocery store, maybe you walk down the dog aisle and you see your dog's favorite treat, and it's like, and it reminds you of that. Or music, sometimes humans that we've connected certain songs to can also trigger a grief burst. So just be ready for those. They can happen anywhere, anytime, any place. Cars happen in cars too. I don't know why. Just driving around Tucson, and you go by a dog park where you used to take your dog. Or I drive by the park where I used to walk my dog, you know? So if you're in a car, stop, pull over and let yourself cry. And if you're in a grocery store or something, you know, you can always put the cart aside and go back to your car. Or if you're able to kind of pull yourself back together, that can happen too sometimes. You can do that as well. The bottom thing here is I'm going to talk about your addictions can worsen. And that was like my example of like eating, like to eat, right? So like that got really bad, you know? So just be aware if you like to eat, drink, shop, gamble. When my mom died, she didn't die of COVID, but she died during COVID. I shouldn't have gone there yet, should I? I inherited her silverware, right? Remember those big boxes of silverware? I thought it was important at that time to go on eBay and replace every piece that was missing in her silverware box. I'm never going to use it, and I never used it, but it was something that my brain just kept me occupied. It's something I could do, you know, that had she been living, she would have loved it, you know, but it's just something that you do, like, so it wasn't an expensive, I mean, I didn't spend, you know, hundreds of dollars, but just be aware be safe in your addictions, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So this is also from What You Grieve, and they have great articles, and I'm leaving you with that website. But so when you are grieving and you are grieving an animal, just be really aware that your love is true, it's significant, it counts. Your loss is no less valid. Your loss is a loss. Your love is real. Grief is real. The grief you're feeling for your animal is real. And everything I just talked about can affect you in spades, like just all of it. Remind yourself that you're worthy of the time and space to grieve. Remind yourself that you're not alone. Look at all these people, and I think we have more people online, you know? It affects people, it affects us. And so access and find your support. So that would be one other thing I would suggest is work on finding where your support is. This is Ellen Wolfelt, and I always like this because people will say the strangest things to you when you're grieving. And so he always had this rule of thirds, that a third of the people will be very neutral in what they say to you. And so and these are your friends, right? And, you know, just let me know if you need something, you know, but they don't really know what to do or what to say, and they don't offer anything. They just say, I'm here if you need me, you know. And then you have a third of the people who will be harmful in your process in attempting to grieve. And those are the people who'll say, oh, it's okay, it's just a dog, you don't need to worry about it. Why don't you get a puppy? Someone told me that. Why don't you get a puppy? And so they will not help you in your process in attempting to grieve. So just be aware of those friends and don't put too much into it. And then a third of your friends will be there for you. And those are the friends that you want to rely on to be with you when you're in tears, to be able to listen to your story again about your dog, your cat. I don't know, are there people with cats here? Yeah, your cats, the stories, everything that you need to share about your animal. If you have someone that can be there to listen to you and to be present. My dog, I was here on a Friday to see Kate with my dog, and then in the interim, he was diagnosed with lung cancer, and then the following Friday and he was like 100% different dog. And then he died. I let him go that Saturday, and then the following Friday, I said, Kate, can I still come and see you without Oso? And she did. And this was like a person who was there for me. She was present. She listened to me. I cried. We cried. You know, those are the people that you want in your life to help you when you're processing grief. The people that just can be present, who are saying, oh, it's okay, you're okay, it's okay, you want to play next? You know, it's like, just allow yourself to cry, share your stories, tell your stories. So I always throw this slide in here because I think it goes with addictions, and it's important to know where you want to, you know, when it gets really serious. So I'm not going to talk too much about it, but because all of these behaviors you could have when you're grieving. It's just the extent and how often and how long and how painful it becomes, and if it interferes with your life, that you would want to consider getting a counselor or join a group or suggest to a friend, like, have you thought about talking to somebody about this? So this is just sort of a safety slide. I think it's important to have. So this is the fun part. I really am a firm believer in that it's really important to do what brings you comfort to help yourself feel better. So I did a lot of different things. And even buying the silverware, I think that's still okay. You know, I mean, think about what it is that you want to do that brings you comfort. And also, you need to create it to fit you and your own unique loss. So I'm going to show you some things, and don't judge me. But I'm really into creating rituals. And I think that it's really important when we create rituals. I have a little definition here. Rituals are actions that symbolically connect us to something meaningful. They can be comforting. They can express feelings. They can bring about a sense of closure. They can keep an important part of the past alive. And when rituals are done to commemorate a loss, they honor both the person doing them and the being, they last. And like, we're really familiar with celebrations of life and memorials. And I always, when I was working as a hospice social worker, people say, but he didn't want to do anything. It's like, it's not for the person that died. It's for all of those that are left behind. That's what the ritual is for. And so I create altars, ceremonies. I don't have any tattoos, but I'm considering it. But I wanted to share just some different things that people can do in the way of rituals. So this is, I'm going to jump you forward for a second. This was my very first altar for Oso. Okay, and this was pretty much right after he died. And I had his collar, there, his fur, and his paw print. I got his snoot, and I don't know, maybe I'll do a tattoo for the snoot. But this expanded out, and it also, he died in October, so this was December because I saw Christmas up here. But I just created a memorial to him, and it's like I have all sorts of original things on here. These are the treats he liked. This was one of his cappuccinos he had. This was like a carving of a dog. I had animal ornaments because it was around Christmas time. This is a little necklace that has a little bit of ashes in it. I have pictures of him, and I have, this is a dog treat he used to like to chew on, and there's his collar, and someone made me a photo album. I'll talk about that in a minute. And I like votives and candles, and candles can be really helpful in just creating your own ritual or ceremony, you know? And you can do this as an atheist. You don't have to be any religion. It's something that you do that brings meaning to you. I always remember a couple of people I worked with in hospice, and one of them was like, people would burn things, like burn some of the sheets or something like that. You can always burn, use fire. You can also, this woman had trees in her backyard, and she put ashes at the base of each tree on a full moon night. You know, like all her own idea. It was really beautiful. So think about what you could do in the way of doing something meaningful. This is my fitness coach she has this in her house, and these are ashes, of course. I think that's another box of ashes. She told me 200 dogs have died since, and she said there's 2 more boxes up here, but I didn't get a more current picture. This is Bonnie. You guys know Bonnie? Bonnie from Casa de la Luz. This is one of her dogs. She's had a lot of German Shepherds. She does a lot of German Shepherd rescues, and this was her dog Lucy. It was one of her last Shepherds that died. And so she has, I took one picture of one of her altars, but she actually has like a hutch. Like we were talking about about the hutch, and she had like all the dogs are in that picture. That just is like sort of a memorial to the animal. I'm also, the picture behind here that you're looking at, this is Engineers Pass in Colorado. When my dad was dying, he told us he wanted his ashes to be released in Engineers Pass. And then after my mom died, we took us a couple years, so there's no timeline you have to do, but it took us a couple years to get there. And, oops. I drove up there, 4-wheel drive vehicle with my husband and my son, and we let go the ashes of my mom, my dad, and we found 3 different dogs that were in their house. So we had Benson, Duke, and Banner, and then my son's dog, Mr. Kitty. And I thought it was going to be this really momentous ritual. I thought, I'll bring some sage or some incense. I'll say some prayers or say some poetry. And it was cold, it was windy, it was wet, the ashes were blowing back on us, you know, but it was cool. It was cool that we went. It was beautiful there because we were up in the mountains. We were like 1,400, is it 1,400 feet or 1,400 footer?
14,000.
Yeah, 14,000, yeah. And it was an amazing trip. So that was that ritual. These are my stones that Jeannie did a presentation with us, and there's a shell. And this is my husband's more of an artist. And I put these up here for you guys to see. This is my show and tell table. I mean, they're not great, but I love them and I love doing it. And at the time we did this in like as pairs, and we ended up talking to people across the table. It was a really moving thing to do that. This was a friend of mine went to this. It was a water lantern festival at Reed Park in Tucson. And it was a festival bringing people together for a celebration of life and community. And this was my friend Chandel, who would house sit for us and would take care of my dogs and love them as much as I did. And she did this, you know, she and sent me pictures of it. I loved it. I was up on Mount Lemon a while back, and I just went there because it's really good for nature to go out and be in where you feel comfortable. And I saw that stone. I'm sure that was somebody's dog, Coco, right? They just left it up there, and I felt this dog died, you know, and somebody's taking care of it. So this is a sensory pet. You can order these online, and you can get them all different kinds. This is so I got this after Oso died, probably a couple months, because I had seen a donkey. Was it a donkey or burro? A friend of ours, Laura, had one that she brought to one of our meetings. So I'm just gonna put this in your lap. It's waiting. There were some tears there, so I thought it was a good place to go. So what I did with this, when you do this, yeah, it's a sensory pet. People use weighted blankets, right? It's a way to calm ourselves. So like I got this, and one of the things that you miss about an animal is their fur, right? You just want to like rub their fur so much. So I put in a little package inside it.
Okay, that's okay.
And I put things inside it that were meaningful to me. So I put in some pictures, I put in some crystal stones, and I put a little bit of his fur in there, and a little bit of my hair, and the note. And it was like, it's something that was meaningful to me. So and I put this picture in here because this is actually a grief candle. And a grief, don't give it to me anyway, but I snuck another picture of my dog, maybe back here. The other thing that's can be really helpful are pictures and albums. And initially somebody offered to make a little album for me, and I said, no, I can't do it. I can't think of getting a picture. And so Bonnie made this for me, and she's an amazing person, and she asked me for 10 pictures. So I found 10 pictures for her, and she made this amazingly cool photo album, which I was trying to figure out how to mimic something like this. And you can actually take small books and like place them. So that's an idea for that. I also wanted to share Jeannie's album that she did this through Walgreens, right?
Yes.
I think Walgreens or Shutterfly, you can make really cool books with them. This isn't something that you can maybe do right away because looking at every single photograph is going to bring tears. But it's not really nice to have it, right? Do you like looking
I
at it?
did do it right away. It was terrible.
Oh,
Yeah. It's something that I kind of wish I would have done when they were alive, you
yeah,
know, and
yeah.
then having that to look back on.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I have the picture, one of the old fashioned albums that I started with my cats, right? And then I ended up adding those at the very end here. So just those pictures are kind of hard to look at sometimes, but that's something that you can do. The other thing that you can do are those photo video things. Are you guys familiar with these? Kate has one in the room over here where you have pictures that are on a screen. I'll show it to you. I didn't want to turn it on, but
It's like an aura.
yeah, it's called an aura. That was called aurora. They're not, and they vary in price because I went to go look them up online. Looks like a picture album, and then you just have different video pictures that change. You guys have some of these? Yeah, I think these are really kind of cool. And then it comes on in the weirdest times. So it's like, are you trying to talk to me? You know? So that is something that you can do for yourself. These are from, my son brought me, these are from Walgreens. Little picture blocks. It's a little ornament, animal on it. This is from the Sacred Send-Offs, which is a animal chaplain, Sarah Bowen. I did one of her workshops, and she sells these online, and this is like a ritual kit you can get. I forget how much it is. I think it's around 20 something. But in here, she has like ideas of how to do a ritual for an animal. And she has like, I forget what it's called, the paper that flames up really fast that you can use. You also can do, so you can do rituals with fire and water. I think it's really with grief. When you have a lot of regrets, I've done rituals with people with water that disintegrate, with paper that disintegrates. Did I just come out of your picture? The paper that disintegrates. And so you can write down on this paper maybe all the different regrets you have, and then let them go into the water. It all just stir it up, it all disintegrates, and you can go pour that water out into the desert. You can also do the same thing with fire, like where you write all some journaling, some concerns, worries, fears, anxieties, what ifs on paper, and you can also burn all of that as well. So I'm also not supporting the people that sell jewelry for grief and loss, but there's a lot of stuff out there that you can get. I have a couple things. You can get hearts that you can have engraved with like words on them. This was a little tiny piece that I had engraved for, has a little bit of Oso's ashes in it. It said, I can't read it. So it has nice things written on it. And I also got this because my daughter wanted to have some of his ashes, but I haven't been able to put the ashes in here yet because it hurts too much, but you can have it engraved. I had it written, "Run free, my beautiful bear." So you can do things like that. The other thing that I would do for myself, I would buy myself cards. Right in your picture?
Stand still, you are.
And I saw this card and I was like, this is my dog. It was like, I felt like I was getting cards from my dog. So I just bought them. So there's this one, I'll always be here to sit with you and be a shoulder to lean on. 100%, that was my dog. And then it was on Christmas, and then I saw this card. These eyes are my dog's eyes, wishing me a very Merry Christmas. And then this, I just got attracted to bears, sending a little bear hug your way. I just really felt like these were messages from my dog. So you can do that. This is a recent one that was at Trader Joe's. Pets come into our lives and change everything, and we are better for it. If only they could live forever. So these are this is giving comfort. I gave comfort to myself. This is comforting yourself. The things you can do to find comfort are important. This is habituals. These are things to think about as you're grieving. And this was something that I learned from Sarah Bowen, and something that she talks about, are habituals. And those are those things that you face every day when your dog is no longer there. Oh, I forgot to talk about the brain. Okay. Part of why your brain is so affected when you're grieving is because you develop neural pathways of connection between yourself and your animal, if it's you and a person that you lost, but you have these connections of the person being there, the time they'll be there, and what happens. And so and this comes from like as a child when you your mom's going to come home at 2, so you don't cry because she's going to be there at 2, right? So that's a neural pathway that you develop. And you have those kind of neural pathways with your animals. And what hurts with grief, especially early on, is that you're wired to think that, oh, when I open the door, my dog's going to be there and jump in my arms or greet or bark or hug me or be there, or I hear that damn bus go by and my dog's not barking anymore, And so you're connected because of your neural pathways. So with habituals, you're still connected to those pathways. And for me, I'm taking a picture of him from my bed, right? And there's a bathroom like right here. So there's not a lot of space there. And so when Oso died, I could not move these. I tried a couple times, but it just looked too bare and I would just start crying. So I left these there for months. And that's what you would consider habitual. It's like I didn't have to move it, so I didn't move it. I left it there. And in my car, I can't let go of that. That's the last puppuccino my dog had, I can't. It's my husband think part of the day. It's like, where'd the puppuccino cup go? It's like, it's in the whole compartment. It's my heart. So think about habituals that you might have and things you can do to make it okay. This is no longer there at the moment because I took down a crate and put it in a spot where my other dog will sleep on it now. She wouldn't sleep on it over here, by the way. Although when Osa was alive, she would all the time. And an example that Sarah Bowen talked about in her training was a woman who had lived on the second floor and her dogs lived on the first floor. And every morning she would come down the stairs and greet her dog and then go to work. She couldn't get herself to work because she couldn't pass that bottom step anymore. So her ritual that she developed for this woman, called habitual, was to get a picture of her dog, put it on the bottom stair, and when she came down in the morning, greet the picture, give it some love, and then go on her way and greet it when she came back home. So those are all rituals and things that you can do to make yourself feel a little bit better. Okay, on time?
19. 19 minutes.
Okay. Ripples of loss are when you want to think about having secondary losses. And if you imagine like with ripples of loss, that if you throw a stone in a pond, that first plunk is your animal that you lost, and then the succeeding waves out are the ripples that you're affected by it. So I'm giving, they're going to have handouts? Or,
Those will be emailed tomorrow morning.
okay. So I'm giving you two of these, and you can do this at home. This is to do like the ripples of loss or secondary losses. So in here, you're going to write down the loss of your animal. And then in the second ring, you're going to put down what you lost because of losing that animal. Like I lost Kate. My other dog was pretty healthy for a while, and I was coming here every week, so I lost that. I lost my vet. It was also really cool that we interacted a lot, and I didn't exercise as much. I don't feel safe. That's a secondary loss. I don't feel safe in my house now. So think about that you might put in there, and then the next one is to, are there things that you're worried about losing? So just think about that. So this is here for you to do. I'm just going to go to the next slide here. So some examples of this might be the loss of community, loss of a familiar form of exercise, just the identity you have as an animal, dog lover, owner, pet, cat owner. I just forgot what I was going to say. Isn't he beautiful? Oh, I know what it was. That was exactly it. Everywhere I went, people would comment to me about what a beautiful dog he was. Like I got some of that beauty love, like it came my way too, and that stopped happening, So they're just weird things. I'm also going to leave you this article because journaling can be really, really helpful when you're grieving. You can write stories about your pet that you lost because you don't want to forget those. So journal. This is a 6-word stories. It's 3 pages. You'll get the whole thing to just write out little stories, 6-word stories. I'm not going to say more about that. You'll have it. The other thing that can be really helpful when you're grieving is literature and poetry. And so I'm going to read the Mary Oliver poem at the very end, but I'm just going to read just this little bit by Rudyard Kipling. And this is from a much longer poem. I think it's like 5, 6, 7 stanzas to it. But poetry will touch you in a way that can be just emotional and helpful. When the body that lived at your single will with a whimper of welcome is stilled, how still? When the spirit that answered your every mood is gone, wherever it goes for good, you'll discover how much you care and will give your heart to a dog to tear. I'm going to read Mary Oliver at the end, but poetry is really good. I actually included one of the poetry books. Dog songs. This is not about grief so much, but it's about dogs and just remembering that. And I have a bunch of other books that you can look at too. So now I'm going to talk more about things that you can do for yourself to help yourself feel more at peace. And it's just recognizing that your grief is unique. It's going to be specific to you, your situation, the age you are, the age your dog was, the circumstances you're going through in your life, all of that. So don't compare your grief to anybody else. I'm going to jump ahead. I'm going to jump back and forward a little bit here. So it's okay to feel like your loss is the worst loss in the world, because it is the worst loss in your world. You know, I just think that's really important. There are no timelines. There are not 5 stages. You know, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's information was specific to people that were dying when she did her research. So those stages that she set up were for people that were dying, and they kind of got incorporated into grief. And people think that grief starts here, it goes here, and then you're done and you're over with and your life goes on. It doesn't go like that. It goes like this. You know, like it doesn't, there is no pattern. It's specific and unique to you. That's a picture of that one too. So that's this picture. The stages of grief, right? She had denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. This is more what it looks like, right? Mm-hmm. Dialectical thinking is something you can do also when you hold 2 opposing thoughts or feelings in your mind at the same time. So it might be that I felt relief and sad when I put my cat cupcake down. You know, I hold both of those at the same time. You can feel joy and sadness at the same time. You know, it's just being open with your heart and allowing yourself to have all the feels and allow all the feelings in. So that's dialectical thinking. The other thing to do is find beauty in nature. And this kind of jumps into glimmers, but I'm not going to go there yet. But like the sunsets we've been having lately have been really, really beautiful. When I went up to Mount Lemmon, I just forgot how beautiful the trees are, you know, and the cooler weather. It speaks to you. So recognize what you do that brings you comfort and peace. And the environment can be really helpful in that capacity. If you can go for walks in the desert or the mountains, that can be really helpful. Exercising, I mentioned journaling, art, creativity, things like that. Oh, this is a live link. See if I can get it. Come on. Oh no, did I lose it? Kate, what did I do? Oh, where did mine go? I can go with that one. Go without you? Yeah, I can go with that one.
Please hold me. We need someone to like sing or something, so we don't have to worry about that. Since your window over here, I'm never gonna let you touch anything again. It's so clear.
So that was a live link.
One job.
I'll show you guys, I'll share something that I got. A ring here,
Oh,
a little paw print. And this has a little bit of ashes of my dog in the ring here. And so that's closest to my heart here, and it's something that you can wear every day. You know, that's not the same necklace you wear every day or something. It's not as big or anything like that, but
I'll share too. A friend gave this to me to get, and you know, when so when you were little, you look up to the light, and
yeah.
you put the light to it, you see a picture of her.
Oh,
So
that's
I've
pretty.
been wearing this ever since she gave it to me. I haven't been able to take it off.
It's
And my other
really-
friends
the
went to
jewelry's
Vietnam and
nice.
got the chain for it.
Oh,
It's really, really. Thanks, everybody.
Speaking of jewelry, I'm just going to hop in there with you. Have you guys gotten any of these? This is like a picture of my dog that I can hold it up to the light. Yeah, what you have right there. Oh, yeah. was gonna mention that. I'm glad you mentioned that. I forgot.
I don't take it.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm just gonna fall off someday. So today, so we will skip what I was headed to.
It's working on the other screen.
Oh.
Look at me. You gotta go the other way and then look for your cursor. Your screen is
Oh.
extended. You see what I mean?
Okay, I'm not gonna do it. I'll just let you do it.
Can't let me do it.
I can't let you do it. I have to do it. Wait, I think I got it. Here you go. Okay. Well, in your resources, there will be a link to Dr. Kristen Neff, and she has free self-compassion exercises on her website. And you can just look at her menu. There's like 4 minutes, 5 minutes, different exercises that you can do that are just for grounding and breathing and being, can be really helpful. I'm also going to talk about glimmers. Glimmers are kind of a new buzzword that people have now. Instead of like, we're kind of wired to like be anxious and nervous and catch everything like that, but we can also rewire ourselves to notice what are called glimmers, which are experiences that can help calm us down. So a glimmer could be seeing a friendly face, hearing a soothing sound, something in the environment that makes you smile, like what I was just talking about with the sunsets, oh my God, the monsoon skies are so beautiful. You know, just when you see something really beautiful and just like breathe into it is what you consider a glimmer. So that would be something to think about as far as glimmers. It would be something to do. I'm giving you a couple breathing exercises. The 4-7-8 breathing exercise is from Andrew Wild. You guys familiar with that? Which is you breathe in 4, hold it for 7 counts, and breathe out 8, and you do that 4 times. So you're going to have all this information. The most common one that people are comfortable with is the box breathing, where you breathe in 4 counts, hold it for 4 counts, breathe out for 4 counts, hold it for 4 counts. So it's a little box. And all of these things you can do are online. They have like all sorts of little means where you can actually see like a box breathing for you that you can follow if you're interested in something like that. So in caring for yourself, I just think that like the bottom line is to be so gentle with yourself, you know, because it's hard. It's really hard. And grief has a habit of like jumping backwards to all the other animals you lost, or maybe it'll even trigger connections to people that you lost, you know, so just be gentle, uber gentle with yourself. Lower your expectations on yourself. Consider joining a support group or doing individual counseling, anything like that. And this is something I'm going to mention, but I would never mention it to someone who's just recently grieving, because this isn't something that I would have been able to do this like last October at all. Like I could hardly paint stones. But to think if there's something that provides you meaning that could be helpful, that's just something that some people are able to do. So that's something to kind of think about. I'm going to mention the Tammy and Marvin project, because we have our death doula sitting here in the front row, who came out of wanting to recognize the pain and suffering she had for her dogs and helping other people. You know, she's been doing kind of amazing things and trying to support other people with their lost animals, deceased animals, I should say. Ben's Bells, you're familiar with Jeanette, who started that because she lost her son, Ben, and it came out of the people that were kind to her that she recognized, who were actually stuck it out with her and stayed present with her, even if they didn't know what to do, they just were present. And that's how Ben's Bells came about. Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, right? That all came out about stuff like that. So that's just a thought in your mind. I don't know what that would mean for people. And I'm going to finish with self-care. But this is my resources, Instagram. And this is Nicola Jane Hobbs, where I got this from. This was my cat Nereus. I loved him so much. He had that eye. Had a broken jaw, so his tongue hung out. He had asthma. He had diabetes. He had, I don't know, I think he had But so this is a discussion about rest is more than just napping, and that you can have all different kinds of rest. And so you guys will have a copy of this page as well in your little handout. So just think about the different ways that you can rest. I'm not going to read all these to you, but there's like the physical rest could be sleep, stretching, nourishing food, mindful movement. So just think about the different things these might be: mental rest, emotional rest, social rest of being with people, whatever that might be for you, sensory rest, loose clothing, cozy socks, whatever it is that brings you comfort is what to think about. Spiritual rest, meditation, prayer, poetry, yoga, healing, creative rest, playful rest. I love doing jigsaw puzzles once in a while. Ecological rest. I tend to kill all my houseplants, but plants, gardening, an altruistic rest, anything that is restful for you. I'm going to read. Oh, I didn't mention one other thing. I'm going to read one last one. There were two handouts I had considered putting on the presentation, but you're not allowed to because these are, I belong to the Patreon, but this is really cool. This is from the website by Lindsay Brahman. And you can join this website and you can buy this for $2.50 if you want. But this talks about emotions, and it's emotion sensation wheel. So sometimes we don't always know what we're feeling. So it has like the sensations along the outside and the feelings and verbiage for you to use for your feelings. Because sometimes if you just get the right word for how you're feeling, it can help you feel what you're feeling. And she also just did recently telling the story of disenfranchised grief. I'm really sad I can't post these on my video for you, but you can find these on this website. The website will be in the resources. So I'm going to read, just to end this, a poem by Mary Oliver. Are you all familiar with Mary Oliver?
Yeah.
I'm not a poetry person. I love Mary Oliver.
I had to pick and choose which cats for you guys because I had 9 cats. This is Oso, and this was Cupcake, and this was Darius. And thank you all for coming, and there might be a little bit of time for questions if you want to share what's going on afterwards. In Blackwater Woods, look, the trees are turning their own bodies into pillars of light, are giving off the rich fragrance of cinnamon and fulfillment. The long tapers of cattails are bursting and floating away over the blue shoulders of the ponds. And every pond, no matter what its name is nameless now. Every year, everything I have ever learned in my lifetime leads back to this: the fires and the black river of loss, whose other side is salvation, whose meaning none of us will ever know. To live in this world, you must be able to do 3 things: to love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends on it, and when the time comes to let it go, to let it go. Thank you.
For questions.
Or shares, who wants to share anything? Yeah?
Thank you so much for giving this talk. I really appreciate it. My mother and I came because we have a loss that is, it's not a natural loss because my mom's dog was attacked by another dog.
It's tragic. It's a traumatic death loss.
Yeah, so we have the complication that it wasn't like putting a dog down, which I had to do with one of my dogs recently. It was a situation where it was just a violent, loss, and he couldn't be saved. So I guess I understand that everything applies still to our loss. It just seems so hard because there's just the imagery of the attack is just so hard to get past. So what would you recommend? Thank you. I guess, I want to help comfort my mom and everything, but there's almost a sense of guilt, trying to feel better because of the way that he went, it's almost like he didn't get to have his full natural life. And that's what's so difficult.
It is a traumatic death loss, and that is a traumatic, all those feelings go with the traumatic death loss because it isn't the way you thought that animal would die. You thought that animal would live a lot longer. And it just makes the grief harder. There isn't really an easy answer to that, other than coming here is good, sharing what you just shared. I'm sure everybody here feels for you, yeah. And other than, I would do rituals too. When you have that traumatic imagery in your brain, it's really hard sometimes to let go of it. So like maybe journaling it, writing it down, tearing it up, like doing something really physical to kind of try to let go of it. Did you have the ashes of the body or?
We don't have them yet. This is very recent.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
It's hard to come when it's recent.
But the ideas that everyone shared are really great ones with the ashes. I have the ashes of all my pets that I've lost. But I didn't even know that there was such a thing as rings or necklaces that you could.
Oh, good.
So I think when we get the ashes, that might help my mom, to still have him near her.
Yeah.
And in some way.
Yeah.
So thank you for all those ideas.
It's hard to let it go. And yeah. And when cards kill dogs too, that's also a tragic death people have.
Do you have anything to say about anticipatory grief? Because I'm not, my girl, I've been coming to see Kate. She's got GULP, which is a neurological disorder with hind leg weakness and panting, and valley fever now. And she had a oral melanoma, which they cut it out, but and she has had a vaccine, but who knows? But I'm experiencing grief before it even happens. And I'm like trying to, and then not all the time, but I'm trying to stop myself. And I don't know that that's the right thing to do.
It's all grief, and it's anticipatory grief is grief, and I don't know that you can actually stop yourself from like imagining what's going to happen and how it's going to happen, other than attempting to make it the best life possible for your animal as you can until that time comes.
Yeah, staying in the day, that's what I do.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, it's like giving her a treat. It's like, I'm going to give her an extra treat, because she's not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
And she might be here for a while longer. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
It's
this
up
was-
to her, she will be. She's pretty special.
And this was wonderful. Thank you so much. It just really opened a world of things to do that
Okay.
I didn't know about.
Yeah, it was kind of along her lines of the anticipatory grief. So I lost still really hard.
It's okay.
My heart dog about a month ago. And I felt like you did too, coming to see Kate every week. It was really hard after years of that type of thing. But at the same time, we have a box turtle who's been in the family for 30 years who disappeared. He was 45 years old. And so that, and my other dog is very sick and Beth can't figure out what's wrong with her. And we don't know if she's going to survive what her issue is. So it's like, it's compounding and it's not sleeping at night. And it's, how do you I think sometimes you have to just come to reason that this animal, no matter how hard you try to look for him, he's not coming back. Is coming back. You reach out to, mediums. You ask other things. You keep going back to the vet to find out what's wrong. And then at the same time, you're dealing with the death of another one. So it's like you feel like you want to just be in another body. Like It's constant, it's concentrated, it's just all within a 1 month period.
It's hard. It's hard, and it explains why people don't know,
Mhm.
because it's hard to tolerate all of those feelings, all those emotions, and it's like it happens, exactly what you're saying happens.
I guess you just like,
Keep
the
breathing.
acceptance is, that's the part that's hard, but that you need to do. The accepting of the loss and anticipatory, will it happen, will it's not, but all that.
hard.
That's what,
It's hard.
that keeps you awake at night and it keeps you from doing things you should be doing.
And I think, knowing you as well as I know you, there's also a sense of, okay, I need to finish this. I need to get done with it because I have other things that I need to do. I have other losses that I need to grieve. And you can't, it's not helpful to, just in the phrasing that you use, it's like you want to check that box. You want to be finished with that. And that's not how this is. This is not linear. This is something that changes. It morphs over time. I didn't want to grieve Harley, my heart dog, and the chief inspiration officer for this entire building. I forced myself to stay in that and to stay in the mess because I knew I wouldn't get another chance to grieve the way that I knew was going to help me longer term. And with your losses that you have, just like backing up one on top of the other, it's almost like you have to sit in it, accept that you're in it, put your head down and breathe. It really is that one next breath. And I know the anticipatory grief is very hard because you've got two of them going right now, with the box turtle and with Pepper. But staying, breathing.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you for doing this.
What else? Anyone else like to share? No? Okay.
Just one last question now. Do you know of a grief support group for loss of animals? Because I know when my husband died, I went to grief support. I went to Peppy's house, grief support group for 5 years. I mean, I didn't, I had moved along, but other people benefited from hearing how you move along.
Yeah.
So do you have?
We're working on creating.
Who would be interested in having a grief support group for animal loss? Is that something that you would want to be part of? Okay. Then that's something Jennifer and I have been talking about for almost a year now.
I love Jeannie
And
too.
with Jeannie. So that sounds like something that we're interested in and we'd like to put together and pursue.
It's really helpful, I know, for me when my husband died. It's just unbelievable.
I've done human grief groups.
I did it online. I went through a situation like you guys did where my boyfriend's dog killed my cat. It was very traumatic. I did a lot of whiskey sours and didn't eat, so it was very, very difficult to get through. But once I got past that part, it was called Chance's Spot and it was online and I went on there every single day. I also got ultra bitch and went after him until the pound did something because he did not have rabies shots on his dog. Although it didn't have rabies, I got him to at least get in trouble for that. So that made me feel better. And obviously that ended the relationship too, so that was on top of it too. So, but it's been 15 years and I still, you can tell how angry I probably am just speaking right now. It doesn't go away.
I wanted to just mention one thing to those who have a pet who is sick. I had a dog that I love very much, Frida, and she was just this wonderful pit bull mix, just a beautiful, beautiful girl. And I felt privileged in that I was able, because I knew her time was short, I was able to be present because I was aware of that. One of the hard things looking back over other pet losses is having lost pets where I hadn't had the time to really devote all that love and energy. So I drank up every loving glance she gave me, and I literally was so present. So gratitude that I had the awareness to just, appreciate her and give her as much as I could. So I don't know if that helps at all, but it's nice to be able to have that awareness so that you don't have to rest later.
It's really wonderful that you said that. Gratitude is huge in this process of loss and grief. And to get to that point of saying, oh man, I miss my dog or my cat or my husband so much. And I'm so grateful that I had 1 year, 2 year, 10 years, whatever. It's a wonderful place to aspire to get through. So thank you for saying that.
I will place one more piece of information is we have a couple of courses on the learn.aloyalcompanion.com that there's one specifically on anticipatory grief. There are a couple on journaling. Jennifer has done one with us regarding animal loss through the holidays. So there are some resources available on that site if you're interested in that. You can find that it's learn.aloyalcompanion.com. You can get there from our main site.
Oh,
So will these materials be emailed to us?
Yep. You'll get an opportunity to download the entire presentation and the packet that we put together for you. All right, thank you for coming, everyone. I really appreciate it.
There's books up here too, if you guys want to look at. So I brought some books that are mine that I really like. For self-dogging, so if you want. It's good. You like it? Yeah.
Very practical.